YTBC, this is your boy Coach Shelton Harrison. And guys, I'm just going to tell you guys right now, this video for me is real hard to make, okay? It's extremely hard because this video really hits close to home for me, okay? This is a tough video for me to make, okay? And I didn't make the video for a number of reasons because it brought up the past. It brought up a lot of the past, and it's just people. I just didn't really want to make this video, but when looking at some of the stuff that's come to light, and I'm like, this is stupid, because I was watching a news report on it, man. I was watching a news report, and this reporter, this dumbass reporter, was sitting here saying, was Chris Eubank really being sincere about not hurting Nick Blackwell, or was that just another strategy to win? And people, I want you guys to listen. I want y'all to just listen. You probably heard the clip before, but I want y'all to listen. Listen to this man. This man, Chris Eubank Sr., okay, talked to his son in the corner. And I want you guys to give me your honest assessment. Does it sound like a man that's trying to win a fight, or does it sound like a man that actually is concerned for the well-being of another fighter?
And you keep on beating him like this. One, he's getting hurt. Two, if it goes to a decision, why hasn't the referee stopped the fight? I don't get why. So maybe you shouldn't leave it to the referee. But you're not going to take him out to the face. You're going to take him out to the body. Okay?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to listen. I mean, y'all heard that. Listen, that does not sound like a man who was wanting his son to go in there and completely decimate this guy, Nick Blackwell. No, man, no. Look, Chris Eubank Jr. wanted this fight stopped. He told his son, if the referees won't stop this fight, then you take him out to the body. But see, Chris Eubank Jr. was in a bad spot. He was in a very bad spot. And I'm going to tell you why it was so bad for Chris. See, Chris, deep down, didn't want to hurt this dude. He didn't want to do it because he knew the guy was already injured, man. He knew it. Chris Eubank Jr. knew this. And he was trying to, when he tried to attack him to the head, man, he was trying to hit him with like these little soft punches to keep him off of him. And then he started really trying to rip the body, so, hopefully, and that would stop him. But, you got Nick Blackwell still coming forward, man. Still coming forward and still throwing punches. So, of course, Chris Eubank Jr. thinking, okay, well, I don't want to hurt him, but, it's either him or me. And so he put a couple of heat on a few of these punches, man, to try to stop the guy. But, Nick Blackwell kept coming forward. And you probably say, well, how does he have a concussion? See, concussions don't manifest themselves right away. They don't manifest themselves in the form of motor skills. They do in the form of a speech, okay? And I told y'all, and I tried to tell y'all, Nick Blackwell, when Gary Lockett was talking to him and asking him, hey, are you okay? He was like, yeah. I said, that dude got a concussion. He had a concussion in round 6. He just fought with it, until, I guess, round 10. The concussion came to him in round 6, and it was clear as day to me just by the way he was talking. But, let me start talking about people that I really blame for this. Number one, this fight was a complete mismatch, okay? But I'm going to go ahead and start blaming people. Here's number one. I blame Gary Lockett. I blame him. That's the first person I blame. You know what, Gary Lockett? You should have recognized this guy had a concussion by the way he was talking to you. He was responding. I mean, you'd think, he was responding like he was a damn zombie. So how do you not know? And then you see him take those barrage of punches. You see him in there getting his ass whooped. You see him in there, man, taking the heat on these punches, and you still, want him to go out there and fight. And the trainer, you ain't taking the punishment. You ain't in there taking them punches, man. Nick Blackwell took those punches. And, I want y'all to look at this, man. Look at this photograph. This is the last image, okay? Nick Blackwell looked into the eyes of his trainer, Gary Lockett. That's the last time he did that. And that's right before, that final round where they stopped the fight, finally stopping the fight, okay? And he collapsed. It's the final time. And you know what? Gary Lockett had the power right then and there to say no more. Gary Lockett had that power to throw that towel in because this fighter, this is the look. This is not a guy that's afraid, okay? Nick Blackwell was not afraid in this fight. And he wasn't afraid to go back in there and keep mixing it up. Nick Blackwell had no problems doing that. But this is the look of a guy who's saying, Coach, you know what? I can't continue. I really can't. I'll go back out there and do it if you're telling me to. But, Coach, honest to God, I can't continue. That's what that is, y'all. And that's what he said. And he said it with his body language, man. See, no fighter wants to quit on the stool for their coach. Nobody. No fighter wants to do that. They want to go and fight the good fight. And they're going to continue to fight the good fight. That's what a fighter do, okay? But in this case, man, the trainer should have saw that, man. You should have saw the way the guy was talking. You should have known that he had a concussion. And you should have said no, okay? See, now Nick Blackwell is in a coma. What is he going to do? I mean, you still get your 10%. Sure, you do, Gary Lockett. You get your 10% off the fight. And Nick Blackwell will get a purse off this fight. But then what's going to happen after that run out? And that really gets me to the next person I blame. The promoter, Frank Warren. I blame him. He's sitting there talking about, trying to throw the blame off himself. But see, Frank Warren and the sanctioning bodies, they need to be shot for this, okay? Honestly and truthfully, they need to be shot for this. Nick Blackwell and Chris Eubank, guys, that's a complete mismatch. It was a mismatch before the fight. And I'm not saying Nick Blackwell is a bad fighter. He's not. He's not a bad fighter at all. It was a mismatch, man. And see, now let's talk about these sanctioning bodies. I went to BoxRec. And before this fight, Nick Blackwell's ranking was actually shown. I didn't pay much attention to it, but I knew it was there. I just didn't look at it because I knew the fight, it was going to be, in my opinion, it was going to be a mismatch. I always thought that. But, I said, this young kid, Blackwell, he tough. He can fight. He can do a whole lot of stuff. So maybe he might prove a good challenge, even being ranked so low. Okay, but it disappeared. Now I did a little thing. Google has a timestamp. You can go back and Google stuff, and sometimes Google will keep records of it. Now, when I typed in Nick Blackwell's ranking prior to fighting Chris Eubank Jr. You know what? This guy was ranked number 32nd. He's ranked number 32nd. Chris Eubank Jr. is ranked number 4. How does that happen? And I'm not saying, I'm not throwing water on Chris Eubank's victory. I'm not doing that, but clearly a mismatch. So the promoter, the sanctioning body, how was Nick Blackwell able to really fight a number 4 ranked person? See, that's another thing. And I think he had a title. I don't follow Nick Blackwell that much, but I think he did have a title. Okay, somebody can correct me. I didn't research that far back. But you remember what I keep telling you guys about these titles? How these titles really don't mean a damn thing in the sport of boxing. It don't, because anybody can get a title. Now, are all the people who hold titles misproperly in place? No. Okay. Now, some of those people that got those titles, did they beat some of the best competition? No. Okay, you got several fighters that are title holders that they ain't beat anybody. They beat not one damn person that's of credible, opposition to even win those titles. They got those titles beating bums. A lot of the people, they do. And that's just how that is. The sanctioning bodies are all the same. One is not better than the other one. They're all the same. Okay? When people tell me, oh, they got titles, man, I don't be listening to that because I know that stuff is corrupt. I know all of that's corrupt, and that's just how that is. Okay? That's just the way that is. Okay? The sanctioning bodies, the promoter, these guys are at fault, man. I mean, they knew, man, that this was a mismatch. And I was telling people, I said, man, I ain't heard much about this Blackwell guy, but I said, man, I think this is a mismatch, man. And, I understand taking a tune-up fight, but why the heck they got to fight the 32nd ranked opponent? Why? Why do the promoters pick the 32nd ranked opponents? Why? Okay? And maybe on film, Nick Blackwell, and he got a chin. So maybe I think on there thinking, okay, this might be a good guy as a tune-up fight. It might be a good tune-up fight. The guy's got a great chin. He's very charismatic. Nick Blackwell, when I was watching, he's pretty charismatic, man. So I think they took the fight based on that. The guy's a tough guy. Like they didn't think that, Chris Eubank could lose or even Frank Warren, his promoter. I don't know, man. Just throw him in there. And you put him in there with a wolf. Okay? And the guy got eaten alive by this wolf. People, this thing could have almost been avoided. It really could have been avoided. But you got the trainer who trying to have a fighter, trying to rush him to the top, mainstream fast. Okay? You got a promoter who really, worked with the sanctioning body, to get his fighter there and probably, help get him in the fights to get him a belt in the first place to say he got a belt to go fight Chris Eubank Jr. Okay? I mean, man, how many other people can you blame? You know what? Even when Chris Eubank was taunting Tyson Fury and Billy Ho Saunders was out there, and Nick Blackwell is a guy that Billy Ho Saunders beat. That ought to tell you something right there, man. That ought to tell you if Billy Ho fought him, okay, he fought him back in 13. Billy Ho Saunders fought Nick Blackwell and beat him. And they cool. Him and Billy Ho cool. They was out there, but you know what? You can start seeing, man, at round 8, you can start to see the look, man, on Tyson Fury's face and the look on Billy Ho Saunders' face, like, oh man, this dude really in there getting up. Like that's the look they had on their face. And go watch the fight and look at round 8, man. And then they give a quick camera shot of Tyson Fury and Billy Ho Saunders, and they're concerned, like they're generally concerned for the health, like they're looking like. And then it's like, oh man, he getting messed up. And then the camera go off of him real quick. But people, I don't know what else to say about this, man. I don't know what else to say. I mean, this is the kind of stuff in the sport of boxing right here that need to stop. This kind of stuff right here need to stop, man. On down to the referees. And if the guy taking a beating in the corner and he ain't throwing punches back, you know, and clearly he's getting hit. Now I can see if he throwing a bunch of punches and they wasn't landing. Chris Eubank Jr. was connecting on a lot of his punches, man. And I think I'm going to go back and look at that punch stat, man. Chris Eubank Jr. was hitting him with bombs, man. It was bombs away. And the referee in the 8th round didn't stop to just think to stop this fight. You didn't think to stop the fight. You didn't want to stop the fight. Okay? The doctor, the ring doctor, had to stop the fight. The ring doctor. So the ring doctor, you know, God bless him, and Chris Eubank Sr., they the only ones that had some sense. And Chris Eubank Sr., not even a doctor, but he was like, man, they need to stop this fight. He had been saying it. They need to stop the fight, but they didn't. I don't know. I feel bad for Nick Blackwell, man. I really do, because I really, you know, looking at some of his past fights, the guy was definitely an up-and-coming fighter. I mean, yeah, he had 4 losses, man, but, you know, one of his losses, he lost to Billy Ho Saunders. I mean, you know, Billy Ho's a good fighter. And, you know, he had some other couple of losses, man. I can't remember all the losses that he lost to. I can't remember. I'm doing this off my memory. But I thought he was a promising fighter, man. And here's another promising fighter, okay? Another promising fighter down the drain, because you got referees, you got, you know, you got trainers, you got people that don't know how to recognize a concussion. You don't. I think these referees, they need to know what a concussion looks like and what it sounds like. Because sometimes a person can be firing back, but you need to listen to them jokers talk. Hey, tell me a complete sentence, okay? Tell me about your childhood. Just tell me something quick. And if they slurring their speech or they talking slow, chances are they got a concussion. Stop the fight. This is your boy, Coach Shelton Harrison. I'm done.